Jack, thank you so much for talking to me today. How have you been?
I've been good. Of course, a little bit of some special times behind us, but it's starting to get a little bit better now. Less restrictive and a little bit more free. So I've been well, and I've been able to prepare pretty good, and I'm in shape and ready to go.
Cool, and we're getting closer and closer now to Fight Island. What have the last couple of weeks been like for you? What's your schedule been looking like?
Now it's like usual for a fight. I go up and do my first workout, and then I eat, then I rest, then I work out again. And if I have some obligations, I do it in the evening, and that's about it. Life of a fighter. Not more exciting than that. Just hard work.
Yeah, definitely. Um, how has COVID-19 affected you? Because I know things have been a little bit different in Sweden and Norway compared to, say, for example, the UK. How has that been, and has that affected the way that you've been able to prepare for this fight?
Yeah, the gyms were closed. Both my martial arts gym and my training center were do my strength and conditioning. So we've been able to work around it. A lot of outdoors training, and we had to be a little bit creative, but we made it happen. And it's been different, but it has been good.
Okay, that's good. And you're matched up, obviously, to take on Kelvin Gastelum in the co-main event, July 18th. Can you talk a little bit about how that fight came about?
Yeah, I was originally scheduled to fight Chris Weidman in May, and then that fight got cancelled. And obviously, the rumors about Fight Island were out there, and we were asking about it, asking the UFC, and they didn't have any any information about it. But then suddenly they said that this will happen, and I just like, yeah, I want on that, give me a fight, and after some discussions, yeah, we agreed to fight Kelvin Gastelum. It was actually yeah, my proposal that would be a great fight. And I knew that Kelvin had been wanting that fight as well. So I think that's the perfect fight to happen. We were ranked next to each other. So yeah, now it's on, finally.
And at the time, how disappointed were you with the fallout of the fight against Chris Weidman? Obviously, it was out of our control because of COVID, but at the time, how did you feel?
Uh, I wasn't surprised because you knew that there were so many things going on in the world, and so many things that got cancelled and so on. So it could have been worse, than a cancelled fight. So it wasn't too bad. Too bad. I Even though I prepared for the fight, it was always in the back of my mind that it could happen that they canceled the fight. So there was no surprise.
And obviously, Kelvin is ranked a lot higher than Chris Weidman. So are you kind of thinking that this worked out for the best for you?
Definitely, I was super happy, and I wouldn't change the situation if I could. It's perfect. I wanted to fight Calvin for a long time, so finally we're about to fight. So I really think it turned out to the better.
Definitely. And, he's coming off of two losses at the moment, but to Darren Till and to the champion Israel Adesanya. So what have you thought of his past performances?
You know, the Darren performance maybe wasn't too impressive, but on the other hand, that Sunday performance was extremely impressive. So you know that if the right Kelvin shows up there, he's a beast and he's a great fighter. So that's what I reckon with that. That's the guy that is going to turn up when I fight him.
So when you kind of, based off what you've seen, what kind of openings have you seen for yourself, and what do you think you need to look out for with a guy like Kelvin?
Kelvin is really good. He's a good boxer. He's good hands, closing the distance very well. So I have to work around that and create my own openings. both with my strikes, kicks, and the wrestling and ground game. So I think I have to really create my own openings because he's really good at that. He's a tricky fighter, he's a smart fighter, and he's hard to finish. So it's definitely gonna have my hands full, but I think I got what it takes to get him out of there.
And you're coming off of a loss to Jared Cannonier back in Copenhagen. What's been your takeaway from that fight?
In that fight, I was really thinking a lot to get him on the ground. I was thinking that I need to get this fight on the ground. I'm so much better than him there. If I just get it there, I'm gonna win the fight and so on. And I kind of lost my original game plan and didn't do all the things that we worked on training camp. So I think that's what I take from that fight, that I need to stay in there, stay focused, do what you gotta do, because if you just do one thing, then you're gonna be too unpredictable, and that's what happened. He catched me on that level change. I'm not gonna do the same mistake again.
And have you made any adjustments after that fight going into this one? Any kind of changes in your approach or in terms of your preparation?
It's more, I think just a mental adjustment. That's the best way I can put it, because it's more that I need to trust what we have worked on. I need to trust the work that we put in there and everything we do in training. As long as I can get that out in the octagon, it's going to turn out well. So that's what I'm looking forward to do this time.
Yeah, and when do you fly out to Abu Dhabi? Do you know much about what happens when you get there as well?
A little bit. I know that the first thing that is happening is that I need to go to London. And in London, I had to do a COVID test. They're going to put me in quarantine in a hotel room for 2 days. And then we will travel from there to Abu Dhabi. And then I think there is some procedures there as well. So we are going to London on Wednesday next week.
Okay, and how are you feeling about all of that? Because obviously that's something that you don't normally have to go through when you're preparing for a fight. And what are your thoughts about all of that?
It's all right. I'm just happy to be able to fight in this times. So it's cool that UFC is putting on the fights, and I'm happy with that. And I'm happy to do what it takes to be able to be a part of it.
Definitely, and there's going to be no crowd, obviously. There's going to be a very different atmosphere. Obviously, your co-main event as well, so it's not going to have that same co-main event vibe with the fans getting behind you and being able to feed off of them. So how are you thinking, how are you imagining the atmosphere to be and not being able to feed off of the fans?
I'm just focusing on the positive stuff, that, for example, I will be able to hear my coaches for once, and stuff like that. So maybe it will be maybe I will feel less pressure because of fewer people. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. So it's gonna be cool to see how it feels afterwards. But as for now, I'm just focusing on the positive stuff. That, for example, I will be able to hear my coaches for once, something that you're not always able to do. So that's good. Maybe it will be, maybe I will feel less pressure because there are a few people there and so on. So it might, I might be able to be more relaxed and less nervous or so. So I'm focusing on the good stuff.
Cool. And how do you expect the fight to go down? How do you see yourself getting the win over Kelvin Gastelum?
I'm always thinking it's going to be a tough fight. You have to have that in your mind. So a tough, grueling fight, violent, but of course with me as a winner. I'm looking forward to go in there, really create my openings, and be active and create a lot of actions, and hopefully I will see. Hopefully I can create an opening where I can get the finish.
definitely. And how important would a win over Kelvin Gastelum be for you?
It's extremely important. It would put me in the right direction towards the title shot again. That's what I want, and that's what I work for. So, yeah, a win over Gastelum, and then maybe take on somebody in the top 5. That would be perfect.
And we've obviously got Darren Till taking on Robert Whittaker the weekend after your fight. What do you think about that fight, and how do you see that playing out?
It's a really interesting fight, and two great fighters. I feel like Till is probably going to try to counter a lot in that fight, and Whittaker will try to close the distance and use his combinations. Since Whittaker has been a champ and a defending champ, I gotta give a small edge to him.
Okay, cool. And obviously we haven't had a date yet, but Israel Adesanya is going to defend his title against Paulo Costa. So what do you think about that? And again, who do you see coming out the winner of that one?
That's a great fight. Adesanya is a wizard. He's really, really, really good. Extremely good technique. Great stand-up fighting. And Costa is like a train, is a bulldozer, a lot of power going forward. And I think that going to create some problems for Adesanya. It's going to be hard for him to use his finesse when Paulo Costa just goes forward with all the pressure. So a small edge to Paulo Costa in that one.
Okay, so do you think Costa takes the title away? Is that what you're predicting?
Yeah, with predictions, I know how small the margins are in this sport, and so I'm never convinced that anybody's gonna take a fight. But if I have to predict, I will predict that Costa is gonna take the win.
Okay, interesting. Because obviously, like you said, your path, you're trying to get to the title. How do you feel you match up with Costa and to Israel, either one of them?
I feel like I'll match up well with both, but I see Israel being, he's not as physical as Costa, so I believe it will be a little bit easier to take him down to the ground, where I think I will have a great advantage. So, yeah, easy might be the best matchup for me style-wise.
Okay.
But I think I could beat them both. So.
So then, if obviously Costa is the champ when it's and you do get up there in for a shot at the title, how do you think that would go down between you and him?
It's gonna be a great challenge, and I need to have to do a lot of work. But yeah, I believe that I definitely need to take that fight to my strongest point, which is the ground game. And yeah, I think I'm on another level there, and would be able to get a finish.
And in terms of your response, in who you're predicting for Israel and Costa, did the fact that his Israel's performance over Yoel, did that kind of sway your mind in any way into how you think he's going to do against Costa?
No, not at all. It's in that fight it was like two counter strikers versus each other, and nobody wanted to take that risk. So I still think that Israel is a great fighter. He's awesome. He's one of the best. It's just styles, So I still think he's really, really great, and yeah, I just think that Costa's style maybe will give him some problem. Yeah.
Okay, and then to go back to your fight, July 18th, what's your prediction for your finish? Or your win, I should say?
I would say win by ground and pound in round 3.
Okay, thank you so much for talking to me today. We look forward to seeing it. Thank you.